Philosophy. Is your desire moral or not? What is a normal desire? What is an immoral desire? Is foot fetishism normal or immoral? What about constant casual hookups? Or liking CDHC? What about nightly scrolling through images? Is self-pleasure normal or not? How about sadomasochism? Or financial domination? Being exploited by a dominant partner? What about cuckolding and exposure videos? Where do these sexual desires fall? In this video, Fox will reference philosopher Thomas Nagel and his views on sexual philosophy. Together, we will clarify in Sexuality and Behavior what separates the normal from the immoral. Thomas Nagel is one of the most influential modern philosophers. He is a professor at New York University. While feminist theory looks at sexuality as a tool to expose social oppression, Nagel tries to understand sex beyond that. Nagel's approach is different. He analyzes the ethics of sex outside social rules. He offers a rational framework for understanding sexual behavior from a moral angle. They say food and sex are human needs, but from a philosophical view, appetite and lust are totally different. They both come from human instincts, but food is a desire for things, while sexual desire is a desire for people. Food is lifeless. It cannot respond or interact. It has no awareness. People, however, are aware. Humans are conscious beings. They can react and interact. That makes sexual desire fundamentally different. From this view, desire is not for an object. It is for another person, a person who is also aware and feeling. Sex is not just mechanical satisfaction. It must include mutual recognition. Desire must involve shared awareness. It is not just about parts or physical acts. It must include awareness of the other's mind. It must be ethical and mutual. In Nagel's own words, reputation is a desire structured in multiple layers. Now, let us enter a thought experiment. A bar filled with mirrors. When the student saw the beautiful woman at the bar, he had a certain impulse, a desire to be clean and submissive. At this point, the student's desire was still at the first level. The lady was holding a glass of Bloody Mary. Through the mirror in the bar, she saw the blush rising on the student's face. She tapped her high heels and teased the adorable student. The student was now completely stirred. His uncontrollable desire surged. He had reached the second level. The lady did not stop there. She brought her drink and came over. She sat across from the student and said, "Call me your master." At that moment, the student was overwhelmed and thrilled. He reached an unprecedented climax. His desire began to spiral again. We can still continue to imagine their interaction and the dominance play. Their next moves would make it clear that reputation is a desire with recursive structure. It is instinctual, and this multi-layered recursion comes from the nature of the object of desire. As a subject, they can provide interactive feedback, such as teasing behavior. That is the fundamental difference between reputation and material desire. Material desire is aimed at an object, but an object cannot respond. So material desire stays at one level. Once fulfilled, it ends. But a sexual desire, because its target is a subject, can evolve and develop new layers, because the subject has consciousness and reactions. Based on this, Thomas Nagel proposed his view on normal sexual desire. He explained that normal sexual desire is a form of mutual resonance based on respecting the other person's subjectivity, a shared response of desire. Not just me wanting you. This also includes various forms of interaction. It includes the longing for you to know that I desire you, and the hope that you also desire me in return. This kind of desire involves expectations about how the other person will perceive you and how they will interact with you. This brings the topic, on a philosophical level, to the idea of relationships being more than just physical urges. They contain a complexity of mental and emotional layers. So let us now take this as a starting point to examine various forms of unconventional desires. Are they normal or morally wrong? What do we mean by morally wrong? At its core, it refers to one-sided desire. It deviates from mutual interaction and recognition and leads to one person reducing the other into a mere object or tool. Voyeurism. The voyeur gains pleasure by watching someone undress or engage in sexual activity. But at the core of this desire is a one-sided need to possess another's private moments, not to interact with them as a person. The other person's humanity is completely ignored. They are not even aware of it. They simply become an observed object, unable to respond in any way. The direction of desire is focused only on visual stimulation, not on interacting with another human being. So voyeurism is an extreme form of moral deviation. Fetishism and object-focused behavior can exist without involving a real person. When fetishism becomes extreme, it focuses solely on the object itself, such as lingerie or stockings, or even silicone dolls. There is no human interaction, only an intention to fully possess an object. The object of desire is no longer a person, but a thing. When the object becomes the direct carrier of desire, it becomes a tool to satisfy lust. Fetishism is a form of regression. It is a distorted relationship. Exhibitionism involves exposing oneself, such as showing one's genitals or body to others, to achieve sexual pleasure. This kind of pleasure may seem to rely on interaction and feedback, but in essence, it reduces the other person's agency into a predictable physical reaction, like flinching from a punch or feeling shame, all for the gratification of the person exposing themselves. This is a one-sided form of interaction, where the other person cannot participate as an equal subject. The intent of the flasher stops at controlling the other's reaction for self-satisfaction, rather than creating emotional resonance or true engagement. This behavior ultimately treats the other's body as an object that exists to produce a specific response. It goes against the very essence of healthy desire. Exhibitionism may appear immoral or abnormal, like a twisted form of interaction or sexuality, but for those involved in consensual BDSM, there may be a shared mutual desire. The dominant partner wants to dominate someone who wants to be dominated, and the submissive partner wants the other to want to dominate them. It is not a one-way objectification, but a recognition of each other's consciousness and free will, a response to one another's desires. But BDSM requires clear boundaries and a safe word. If one person becomes just a container for pain, forced to participate without choice, the act degenerates into pure abuse. Finally, let us look at something more common, but still unconventional, like foot fetishes or self-pleasure as defense. According to Thomas, if an image is voluntarily shared by the other person as a private act, it contains secretive interaction, like saying, "I want you to know that I desire you because of how you look. I want you to know I need your image to satisfy myself." In this case, even if the person is not present, the intent of desire still acknowledges the other as a subject worthy of recognition, expecting the other person's awareness or response. But those anonymous, fictional images, the ones you browse endlessly on your phone, turn the object of desire into something behind glass, a purely visual symbol for the subject, the other person's subjectivity, their knowledge and identity, their will and desire, all are erased, reduced to mere visual tools. Essentially, it's a surrender of interaction. Returning to animal-like stimulus-response behavior, let's use the example of foot or sock fetish. According to Thomas, if the object of desire is a real person, and the feet are just part of their body for play, then the interaction remains mutual. The imagery still reflects a two-way connection. It's interactive, but if feet are treated as mere objects, or even if someone steals a stranger's socks, or looks at detached foot images to satisfy themselves, then the chain of communication collapses into predation. It becomes a degraded channel of meaning. That is Thomas Nagel's idea of sexuality. His key contribution was this: he freed sex from biology and social norms and reframed it as human consciousness. He saw it as a complex interaction between minds. His theory reminds us the dignity of sex comes from respecting each other's inner awareness, not from whether your behavior fits social norms, not about rules. In today's world, where diverse values and sexual autonomy are celebrated, Nagel's philosophy gives us an open-minded, still rational perspective on sexuality. He does not judge what we like, but rather how we like it. When we desire and see the light of consciousness in the other, sex becomes a bridge between souls. But if not, if we only see a body or a symbol, then sex turns into a desert of desire.